today's guest, Joe, talent acquisition operations lead at Satispay. So I'm really looking forward to this episode. We know each other, I think, for 5 years maybe now. I think um, you and me met when I participated the first of these talent acquisition dinners. I host a lot in the meantime already, but I think the first one I ever attended, not even hosted by myself, is where I met you. It was back then with Ashby and Willem, I guess, in
True,
Berlin.
true.
um, but today we want to talk about talent acquisition operations and everything, but maybe we start with a bit of a context about yourself by yourself.
Thank you, Thomas, and thank you for having me. This is going to be fun. So yeah, I'm now leading the talent ops function at Satispay, but this hasn't been my role since the beginning. I've just started as a recruiter, as anybody else that wanted to enter the HR space, but didn't have a background in HR. And I remember my first agency recruiting job, and I thought, this is broken. This is not working. This is not what I was thinking I was going to do. I was a bit naive, I have to admit. I was coming from a completely different world. And what I figured out is that there were two things missing: efficiency on one side and the candidate experience on the other. And I think this was where two things could happen. Thankfully, the second did, but the first possibility option was me just dropping out of the space because it was going so much against what were my values and drivers at work. And then the other one was to fix the problem. And this is how I discovered what RecOps was, because I had no idea. Um, and
I think a lot
I,
of people also confuse it with its scheduling, right?
yeah,
If it's from the
yeah.
very surface, but that's definitely not the case.
That's not the case. And you can see this confusion also from the job descriptions on the market, right? There is the
Hmm.
talent ops, and then the description is all about coordinating.
Yes.
That in 2025, 26 is also not on point given what the tech stack offer. That is a lot of automations. But yeah, this is how I joined the space of talent acquisition. And then I managed to move in-house, and tech was always my core. Which is weird because I never thought of myself of a person that could enjoy so much space. And then I had the chance, thanks to my leaders, years after years, to discover more about the RecOps space, and then become had the possibility with Satispay to build an entire function, which is fun.
At what stage was Satispay when you joined, and at what stage of the company are you now? Maybe overall, and also with the talent acquisition function.
So when I joined Satispay was a couple of years ago. We were around 350 employees, a lot of innovation happening, a lot of projects and products on the roadmap. The talent acquisition team was around 15 people, but revamping all the processes, way of work, and also we're shifting to a more data-driven approach. And today we are more or less the same number of people, 15 to 19 people, but we have three very distinctive functions. We have the talent partners, talent sourcing, and talent ops. That did actually change face and hats a couple of times during the past 2 years, because when I joined, it was purely coordination and also taking a few tasks from the HR ops space. And today, instead, we managed to build an engine that works in parallel on the coordination piece, a little bit less because most of it is automated, on the process improvements and team enablement side, and project program management, right? So introducing new practices, new tools, consolidating even more, and taking care of the analytics.
And what changed now in terms of how you perceive the talent acquisition function, and also how the talent acquisition function is perceived maybe from the business?
How I perceived it, okay, I always thought And I still believe that in general, I'm not talking of my current company, but the talent ops function can be more of a business partner. And I also think that the way it's developing in the market, regardless of the company you join, is more of a wider function. You can see where it starts, but you cannot see where it ends. It could cover a bit of of those more administrative tasks, but it could also bring together different HR teams, ensuring that all those processes that starts at the beginning of the journey of the employee with the hiring experience, um, it's actually coherent until they stay with us, and they perform, and then eventually leave.
Mhm. And what ratio do you have from maybe how many roles does a recruiter carry in parallel? And then also how many sourcing support? Or yeah,
Mhm.
maybe let's start with the first question.
Well, I think that really depends on the business and what they need. The good thing is that when you have a great team, you can be flexible and you can play around according to what are the business needs. And we know the scale ups may change needs every quarter, if not even more often. So
Yeah.
you need to be ready to cover um, everywhere, anywhere is needed. Um, there are some numbers that everybody knows, right? In the space, you will have one coordinator supporting up to 3 to 5 recruiters according to the volume they have, and then you'll have a sourcers for, I don't know, 5 roles, 10 roles if it's volume and evergreens. But I think it really depends on what the business needs to achieve. Is it scaling? Is it more of a focus on quality of hire? Um, I think the key, especially nowadays when a lot of new tools and AI are changing how the space looks like and how we can operate. The key is to stay flexible and have a team that knows how to adapt.
Mhm. So I think also at your size, right, with 350 people, just putting this into perspective, that you have a talent acquisition organization of around 15, and also a setup with sourcing, ops, recruiters, structured. This is very sophisticated, and a lot of companies don't have that at all. Also later
Mm.
stage, and what I see at that size, that I think a lot of companies or a lot of recruiters, they just sometimes need to be flexible, as you said, right? They need to maybe jump from a region, let's say Italy, to maybe another region. It could be, I don't know, France, Germany, UK, or sometimes maybe even going a bit abroad. Um, or you then need to also jump into different functions. First, you ramp maybe a tech organization, and then within a tech organization, you can also jump from a very specialized engineering role, let's say in security, to okay, now we need to find somebody that is doing a lot of I don't know, front end engineering, which is a different way of recruiting as well, right? And different people,
Yeah.
and therefore, I think depending on also the level of focus you can keep, and also the level of different stakeholders you have to engage with, because maybe it's part of a different organization.
Hmm.
Hiring maturity might be different, but also maybe the processes and also the biases. So there's so many
Hmm.
different, and also just having a different stakeholder is an effort, right? This all factors in where I think that the talent acquisition operations function can be a big lever, because um, you have somebody that is ideally also delivering the insights, the data, and also making sure that the systems are set up in the right way, used in the right way, that you collect the right data, that you can trust the data, that you can then also use it to predict, to forecast, to engage and influence certain decision making, right? On why a region is more suited or another, for instance, or why we don't need more recruiters, why we just need a bit of a more hiring maturity in terms of decision making, for instance, right? Instead of just putting people on the problem. And this is
Totally.
what I
Uh-huh.
learned in the past, is when the talent acquisition organization has a good TA ops muscle. It doesn't have to be an entire function, but if the mindset is still there, it is also often good enough at that size, right? But what you have, I think, is already sophisticated.
Well, we needed this function because we doubled in size and we keep growing. So now we're around 700 people.
Wow.
We still have to hire. So, and also one thing is that I noticed is that then all the skills that a talent function, a talent ops or RecOps function brings to the team can be transferable, right? You can use them also across other HR teams. But I've seen a one woman or man show in talent ops leading a lot of transformation and bringing those values that you were mentioning to their team. It doesn't need to be a huge function. You even just need a recruiter that has that approach and then knows how to cascade it to the rest of the recruiters or sourcers or even hiring managers. There are amazing models of hiring where hiring managers are actually the first people to approach candidates and are owner of those hiring processes, but this needs certain degree of maturity. Also may works at smaller scales or maybe at very mature but bigger ones, larger ones. So yeah, I don't think that talent operation means you need a team or a big team.
Yeah,
You just
exactly.
need the mindset.
Yes. Yes. And then, of course, right, depending on size and so on, it makes sense also to have the function. And what is the tool stack you use?
We are spoiled and lucky. We use Ashby as our applicant tracking system. And I've been a user of Ashby for a while now, also before Satispay. I have to say it's fun to use. It has everything you need in one place. You don't need to go fancy, you need to go smart. Once you have this platform, I'm positively biased towards the tool, so I don't want to spend too much talking about it because I know it may be not really impartial. But it allows you to do basically anything you need, except, of course, LinkedIn that is always there and you need to use, but there is a lot more on the market. We are quite of a big team, and that allows us to experiment. We've been piloting a few not takers, but also sourcing tools. And when you finish a pilot, you think, okay, you're ready to make a decision, but there is another player coming out or releasing new features that makes it a little bit harder to decide. It's also hard to stay compliant, at least in the European Union. And especially for bigger companies, heavily regulated in the space we work at, we need to be extremely careful. But there is a lot more. And I just would like to stress that the way I think of it is because there is a lot of talks around these automations and AI in HR and recruitment. Yes, can be used, but the human is always there. Not only because of what the regulation says, but also because it's a new technology and there is too much risk also for the company to lose the right person, the qualitative candidate, future employee that can raise the bar for the company. So a human will always be there to lead both candidate experience and bring revenue and success to the business. But there is, again, a lot more to say on this topic. I would say that the new tools, and especially in the AI space, can help increase efficiency and productivity rather than replace people.
Mhm.
And this is extremely true in the HR space and recruitment space.
And what are the reports or insights you can? So, what are the metrics you can show with your function, and what are you measuring?
Good question. What are we measuring? Basically, everything is how you put those metrics and results and insights into context that can help you tell a story. Besides the most traditional metrics from how long it takes you to fill a role, to hire someone, to offer to someone, so the velocity one, to the most basic of, but always present, conversion funnels, activities tracking that are always there. Something we are now focusing, and we've been focusing in the past year and a half, besides the, we started with the candidate experience and trying to improve our processes based on what our candidates will say. And now we are transitioning to a an era where the quality of hire will be the focus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very nice. Hot topic for many companies, especially those that need to focus more on quality. And it comes that point where the scaling part is there. But once you have a talent function that is solid, you know you can rely on the team, the processes are there, you figure out what is winning for your team, then you can focus even more on quality.
Mhm.
So now thanks to Ashby, we do have a few metrics that we take into consideration already for quality of hire, and we're going to launch a couple of features from the tool that will allow us to track it better and get more consistent feedback, not only from the candidates, but also from our hiring team
What is
members.
your current, because I think quality hire, it's a big hole, yeah?
It is.
Um, what attributes are you focusing on? Is it more if they pass probation? This is a very simple way on how companies doing it. But then the question is, okay, how good is your performance rating feedback process, right? If you even
Exactly.
manage probation, for instance, at all, right? um, some
I
also
cannot
track
talk.
some metrics, especially in sales, that they also track. Okay, what are the target attainments? I think there it's a bit more easier to say, okay, that's the target. That's then the first year achievement, blah blah blah, and then it's a bit more feasible. You can also put an ROE on it very easily. But for other functions, it's not so easy. But this would be interesting for me. What are the attributes? Doesn't need to be the very clear methodology on how you do it, but the thinking process behind it.
So I think it depends on the company. I cannot talk for my business because we're currently in the process of discussing which approach to use. But in general, what I've seen is common in the space is you can have the approaches you were talking about. So you can tie it to goals, OKRs, and KPIs, and you know what's happening. You know where you need to go, and you know that if you achieve that, well, the hires that you brought to the company, they brought qualities. Then there is also the approach you were talking about of relying on the performance cycles, but then it depends how often do you run a performance cycle during the year. Um, all the cohort of new hires to fall in these performance review cycles, and do you have enough ongoing data so that you can actually monitor it? Um, I will say what I saw, there are two ways of um, monitoring quality of hire. One, it is focusing on the performance of the talent team. So what is quality of hire for the talent team? And those are the metrics I was talking about. So the hiring manager experience, the conversions, the target achievement, and others. And then there is the cross-organization quality of hires. There are a few companies that talk about talent density. So
Mhm.
they do look at what is their talent density, what is the percentage of people that do perform the best. And they also, of course, take into consideration the performance review results. And then they look at the same result of the new hires cohort at 6 months' time. And then they will just look at the difference. If it's positive, then it means that the cohort of new hires that you brought in the company is raising the bar, right? There are so many models out there. You can see what Revolut does, but you can look at the bar raisers programs at Amazon. Also, Google has its own Netflix. Those are very nice models, but I don't think there is a um, one fit all solution.
Yeah.
I will go backward. How does the company defines quality of hire? Is it the person that stay longer? Is it the person that hit the target? Is it the person that performs higher than the average of the company?
Mhm.
Once you have that definition, yet then you can backtrack the way to calculate it and monitor it.
Yes, and it can also change over time, right? So maybe
And it can.
one framework is the right when you're early on, and another one isn't anymore. Um, Maybe talking about returns. What do you think is the return on investment for a rec ops function?
If you allow me, I will rephrase your question. That is, what is
Yes.
the ROI of a RecOps approach or talent ops approach in a
Yes.
company,
Yes.
even without having a function?
Mhm.
Um, Definitely, you'll see an increase in efficiency and as a consequence, productivity of a team. And will be the easier one to track because numbers will talk. It will
So
take the
conversion rates
company.
go, for instance, up or down in the right direction, and then you also have a higher velocity, so faster time
Exactly.
in process, for instance.
That faster time in process, ideally faster time to fill a position. But then there is all the rest that is less visible and less on the surface.
What would that
That
be?
is for example, let's say when you have the same team or a team of 5 that needs to hire so many people, and then you manage to make their workload and their daily tasks more efficient, faster, and delivering also a better candidate experience in the meantime, you get
Yes,
to two
definitely.
different outcome. It will be easier to attract candidates that heard amazing things about a company. So that's the first thing. Will be easier to convert them into new team members that will join them because they truly enjoyed the process with you. Then at the same time, you'll have team members that have the time to grow more, focus on more strategic projects instead of hiring, maybe enabling the interviewers and the hiring managers on how to recognize who is the great fit for the company, on how to run proper and unbiased interviews, on what is the right way to talk to a candidate, or how to be more aligned so that you have a consistent way of evaluating the people you meet in the process. If you have a team of talent partners, recruiters, sourcers, they need to focus on bringing in and talent and focusing on the upper part of the funnel, they won't have the time to actually invest in these strategic initiatives. So you can look at the ROI from numbers perspective that is there. You can look at the cost per hire that will talk, and they will probably talk to the executives and the leaders of the business because you can translate into money, whatever
Yeah, because you can
improvement
also
there has
do
been.
more with the existing resources you have. Just that, I think also just a great indicator is that the talent acquisition team at Satispay overall was around 15 people, at 350 people overall in the organization. Then in the
Yeah.
past, let's say 2 years, you grew to 600 to
And
700 people,
yeah,
and the team stayed at the same size.
exactly. And all we did was just, to be honest, for only the first year, was just to fix broken processes.
Yeah.
And then investing on the enablement of the team that can cascade that knowledge across the hiring team members. And they are amazing. There is always space for improvement for all of us
Yeah,
and
yeah.
learning and growing from each other. But I can see that in 2 years, a lot has changed.
If people are listening and they are also want to achieve what you achieved, growing the company by 300 people in 2 years, while not growing the team, what are some practical tools, frameworks, or examples you have for us? Some nuggets, what they can
Hmm.
apply
Okay,
without
nice
even maybe
question.
spending some money.
Okay. Um, this is one of my favorites. Before looking outside, look inside. There's for sure some other team in the company that is using a tool that you could leverage. It could be in a smaller team, could be Notion, could be um, Zapier for some automations, so that you can really reduce the manual work on the team. You can look at ticketing systems that maybe the CS team is using or the product team is using to see if you can use it then for the a possible talent ops function. You can look at what marketing is doing for EB initiatives. So you don't really need to first buy. A new tool. The other thing that you can do is looking at the tech stack you're using. Are you using it properly? Do
Mhm.
you need to change? Do you really need to go for a more expensive version of the same tool you have, or you just need to clean it up and use it better? And usually, is the second. So you need first to clean it up and use it better. And even if you then, after 3 to 6 months, you figure out that the tool is not anymore scaling with you and you need a better version, another one, that work that you've done of cleaning and mapping will be very useful to better understand what you're missing and what you need, and then to find out who's the best vendor for you in the future. So definitely garbage in, garbage out is another of those practices that will save your life as a RecOps. And less practical, but it really taught me most of what I know that is not enough, is relying on the community. There are tons of communities out there that can teach you so much on what's next. What are the best way to do it? I had great mentors thanks to these communities and peers that I still learn from today. So also that I will talk to your leaders in operations because they probably know more than you on how certain processes have failed already in the company, especially if you're a new team member and you need to fix whatever is broken in the talent team. Because certain skills and processes are transferable, actually. And they may have known what has worked and what has not so far.
Great. Did you also automate anything with Zapier, for instance?
Did we automate what? Sorry?
With Zapier, did you also automate something?
We do not use it because we do use another orchestrator, but we did automate a lot. Thankfully, though, Ashby allows you to automate 90 to 95% of what you need.
What, for
From
instance, do you
scheduling.
automate? What are some, let's say, automation quick fixes what everybody can maybe apply?
Scheduling is the main pain point, right? So I will start from there. But what we've been focusing in the past months on is to better sync data flows from the talent tech stack to other HR and finance related tools. So thanks to also the support of our IT team, but not only, we managed to improve the type of integrations we have or to build from scratch new ones. It could be to have in the same place in a visualization tool, in a BI tool, the data coming from all the HR platforms so that you have one source of truth. It could be also to better automate your onboarding processes for new employees with the rest of the teams that are involved. We have, in the current company I work for, we do have several entities, we do have several locations we onboard employees, team members in, and it's a huge team effort from the people ops function that needs to, prepare everything related to contracts, the rest of the people and culture team that does a wonderful job in organizing onboarding days, IT and security with all the equipment and taking care of the accounts, to not talk of facility for the people that are not remote. So there is so much happening in the background, and when one of these automations or connections is not working, you miss a piece. And maybe the good candidate experience you were delivering so far does not necessarily translate in a great employee experience, especially in the first couple of weeks. That is super important. So this is, in a generic way, wider way, what you can automate. From a pure talent perspective is definitely the scheduling. There is way more that you can do in around feedback collection. And if you look at the talent ops, the RecOps space, a lot of things that automating that helped via automations is alert or notifications. Think of what I like to think of as is that function that ensures that the overall talent team can succeed. If something doesn't work as it's supposed to work, or is a process is not followed the way it's supposed to, it may not everything then end up well, from a candidate experience to conversion to hiring manager alignment. And then, of course, it cascades in other consequences. What helps us is creating a few alerts when something that should have happened did not. A referral has been sitting in application review for more than a specified number of days. We really don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Or we have a candidate that does submit candidate experience survey with a negative score, and it's not neutral or positive. So you really want to go and understand what happened. You, of course, are not able to figure out who was the candidate, but you can look at the feedback and you can take an action on those, or share them with the right people. If you have stale candidates, you can work on that. If you have a referral bonus that have not been paid, you can work on that. If you have new joiners that all of a sudden decide to not join anymore the company, you can act on that. But when you are processing thousands of candidates a week, a month, you could easily miss these tiny, and automating all these notification and alerts does help, but you can do it in these tools only when the process is actually built properly, so that you know what should trigger that alert.
Nice. Joe, thank you so much. We are already done. I would really love to ask more questions, but maybe we can do another episode at some point. I would stop here. Thank you so much. And it was great talking to you again.